Tommy John surgery. Those three words put together haunt baseball players and fans alike. If you are a fan of a team, at some point, a promising player or a player you enjoyed watching has fallen victim to this surgery. If this hasn't happened to you, then you're a liar. But seriously, many players have had their careers severely altered because they needed this surgery. Many are never the same. That's why you see some players try to avoid the surgery. This worked out for Masahiro Tanaka, but others aren't so lucky. Then, there are the unlucky few who need the surgery more than once in their career. One of those players is Jonny Venters, who has needed the surgery a staggering 3 times during his career. While he has not had the most Tommy John surgeries in a career, he's one of the very few to have a successful comeback after multiple surgeries. Today we're going to be looking at the career of Jonny Venters and what he's accomplished despite his setbacks, while also comparing his career to a few other players who have needed multiple Tommy John surgeries. My name is SportStorm. Check out my channel in the description. Let's get into the video. Venters was drafted out of high school in the 30th round of the 2003 MLB draft by the Atlanta Braves. However, he wouldn't start his minor league journey until 2004. His first couple of seasons in the minor leagues was definitely an adjustment period for the young pitcher. However, in late 2005, Venters was told that he needed Tommy John surgery. He would miss the entire 2006 season. For a young pitcher, this is the absolute worst news you can hear. Couple that with the fact that he wasn't performing particularly well in his first 2 seasons, the future for Venters was looking more bumpy than ever. But when he returned in 2007, he picked up where he left off and then some. Despite last playing a professional game 2 years prior, he was noticeably improving. Over the next couple of seasons, he continued to show signs of progress. However, he hit a big bump in the road when he landed in AAA. Well, he actually played in both AA and AAA in 2009, and it looked like the level of competition had caught up to Venters. To be fair, he was about 3 years younger than the average AAA player in 2009, so he could definitely turn it around. Remember, he was a 30th round pick who had Tommy John surgery only a few years prior. Well, in 2010, the Braves invited Venters to spring training. After a couple of games in AAA, Venters spent the rest of the season in the majors. However, he spent the whole season in a different role. He became a full-time reliever. Seeing how he struggled as a starter in AAA in the previous season, Venters definitely needed a role change. Well, judging by his stats, it's safe to say it worked. He was among the best relievers in the entire league. He was one of only 7 relievers, who were coincidentally all National League players, to allow only 1 home run throughout the whole season, and Venters threw the most innings out of all of them. Venters also pitched in all of the 4 Braves playoff games and didn't allow a single run, which is pretty impressive for a rookie reliever. Speaking of the rookie title, Venters was named into Baseball America's 2010 All-Rookie Team, and for the Rookie of the Year voting, Venters finished in 8th place. Where does Venters go from here? Why not an All-Star appearance? In just his 2nd season in the majors, Venters, along with 3 of his Braves teammates, made the All-Star game, and here are the stats that back up that appearance. He improved from his rookie year as he had become the setup man for arguably the best closer at the time, Craig Kimbrell. Along with Eric O'Flaherty, this trio of relief pitchers became among the most dominant in the league. Venters had actually pitched in the most games of any relief pitcher in 2011, and he was tied for 4th in innings pitched. Unfortunately for the Braves, despite a great record, they did not make the playoffs, but there was still reason to be optimistic. Although Venters did not have a great start to the 2012 season. In July, he was placed on the DL for a sore left elbow. A few weeks later, he returned like nothing happened. He ended the season with a respectable stat line, and when you compare his first half stats with his second half stats, it's like 2 different pitchers. But something happened that Venters couldn't foresee. This playoff appearance would be the last time Venters would pitch in the majors for 6 seasons. Why, you ask? Well, remember when I mentioned that Venters had Tommy John surgery 3 times throughout his career? Well, I've only mentioned his 2005 operation. Venters began the 2013 season on the DL with left elbow discomfort, the same elbow that bothered him in 2012. This just so happens to be his throwing elbow. So this is definitely not the greatest news for a pitcher to hear. It's like if Thanos was staring at Thor, about to snap his fingers, finally achieve what he's been after for so many years, and then out of nowhere, his thumb just breaks and he can't snap his fingers. And then he tears his UCL and is out for the season and needs Tommy John surgery. That's what it was like for Venters. Yeah, I know, I could have been a little bit more clever with the analogy, but it's been said, and it can't be undone. So, what did Venters decide to do? Well, initially he tried to avoid getting Tommy John surgery by getting injected with platelet-rich plasma. This did not work, and he ended up getting the surgery anyway. Venters began the 2014 season on the 60-day DL, and he would endure setbacks throughout the season. In August of 2014, Venters had learned that he had torn his UCL again and needed a second Tommy John surgery, the third of his career. This caused Venters to miss the 2015 season as well. After the 2014 season, the Braves released Venters. He would sign a 2-year minor league contract with the Tampa Bay Rays. Since he couldn't make an appearance in 2015, he was looking to come back sometime in 2016. However, nothing is easy in baseball. In July of 2016, Venters learned that he had torn his UCL once again, so it looked like he was going to need a third straight surgery, which would have been the fourth of his career. Thankfully for Venters, due to the way the UCL was torn, he went through a ligament reattachment instead. He re-signed with the Rays after the 2017 season, and he was invited to training camp in 2018. Finally able to pitch. He initially started in AAA, but in late April, he was called up to the Rays. He made his first appearance 2,048 days since his last big league appearance. He did what any competent pitcher can do, and that is make Chris Davis ground out. Just a few days before the trade deadline, the Rays traded Venters back to where it all started, to Atlanta. In his 2 stints in 2018, Venters performed relatively well, especially for a guy who hadn't pitched in over 6 years. He would actually win the National League Comeback Player of the Year award. Unfortunately, Venters didn't perform very well in his 2 postseason appearances against the Dodgers. But seeing how Venters performed in the regular season, the Braves signed him to a 1-year contract. However, his start to 2019 was rough to say the least. He would be released in May of 2019. Venters would be signed a month later by the Washington Nationals. He had only pitched in 3 games before he got some bad news. He needed left shoulder surgery to repair a torn capsule, ending his season. This may not seem like a happy ending, but it actually gets a bit better. Remember, the Nationals won the World Series last season. Venters was never released. At least I can't find anything that says he was released until after the season. So, does this mean that Venters won a ring? I mean, he wasn't part of the playoff roster, but this tweet by a former teammate of Venters, Eric O'Flaherty, relieves all of my suspicions. Venters won a World Series ring. At least I hope he did, because that makes for a way better ending. Right now, Venters is a free agent, and if the league does have a spring training at some point, Venters should get a shot somewhere. And I really hope he does. Venters went through so much and he was still able to come back. Let's look at some other pitchers who have gone through multiple Tommy John surgeries and compare them with Venters. According to Baseball Reference, Venters is one of only 7 pitchers to have had at least 3 separate Tommy John surgeries. Out of these pitchers, Venters is one of the only few to have a sliver of success after their final season. Also, you have to remember, Venters almost needed a 4th surgery. The only reason he didn't was because he was able to get the ligament reattached. Jason Isringhausen only played 2 more seasons after his final surgery. He was not at the elite closer level like he was with the Cardinals, but he was still serviceable. Jose Rijo is interesting because his story is similar to Venters. After an all-star season in 1995, Rijo was sidelined and needed surgery. He had a successful career up to that point, which is why he received a Hall of Fame vote in 2001. However, he made an unexpected move. In 2001, he made his return to baseball, making him the first player since Minnie Minoso in 1976 to play a game after receiving a Hall of Fame vote. In his final 2 seasons, he was serviceable, but another injury in 2002 ended his career. Jonny Venters has had a very interesting career. Despite the multitude of setbacks he has had to overcome, he has been able to come back and pick up where he left off each time. Some guys don't have the ability or even the luxury to attempt a comeback. That's what makes Venters' story so great. I really hope a team takes a chance on him this upcoming season. He may be 35 years old, but I'm sure he can be a positive asset somewhere. Thank you to SRS for having me back on the channel. The 2 previous videos that I have made that have been uploaded on this channel have done way better than I could have ever imagined, and I really appreciate the support. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to Raving Sports, and check out my channel in the description. Thanks for watching.